Welcome back, everyone. I'm Tim Anderson, aka Renfail, and today we are diving into Pillars of Eternity, a game from Obsidian Entertainment that launched a few years ago, but it's still very much worth playing, even in 2023. I just did a run through on the Xbox, trying out the console version after having previously played the PC version a couple of times. Happy to report it's still just as fun as it ever was. And today we're coming back with another video. We're going to be talking about the races of the game and what race you might want to play. So we get started right off the bat with a male-female decision, and you can read a little bit more about everything here in the game. The blue text is stuff that is highlighted, and you can then hover over those to get more information about something if you need it. So for example, the Deerwood is a colonial nation founded by settlers from the Aedir Empire. Following a series of conflicts with Aedir, the territory became independent in 2672 AI and is now ruled by a duke who is elected by 7 earls that oversee its earldoms. So a little bit of information for you there, but basically it says here, a basic description of who the male and female are within societies. And then we go from here. We'll just pick a male for the first part because I'm a guy, so I'm going to talk about making a guy character. From here, we'll go into the actual race selection. Now, much like many other RPGs and CRPGs that you've played over the years, the race selection comes with a pro, and in some cases, in other games, it might come with a con. And in this case, like dwarves have a negative to dexterity, but for the most part, the Orlan have -1 might, but most people have a couple of pros, and that's it. But we're going to go through all of the different races that you can choose. Now, much like other RPGs and CRPGs, the race that you choose in the game has an impact on the storyline to a small degree in that it will affect how certain conversations apply to your character based on where they are from. Now, mostly this is just a role play significance. It doesn't actually impact the gameplay that much. But one of the most important part of the race selection is whether or not you want a specific bonus to your character, especially if you're playing the game on normal mode or beyond. This is a very unforgiving RPG in terms of the difficulty level. If you're playing on, like I said, normal beyond. If you're playing easy mode, it won't matter at all. But every little point counts beyond the initial, because in Pillars of Eternity, the stats that you start with are the stats that you're stuck with for the whole game. You don't actually get additional stats through gameplay. So you can buff it up through armor and things of that nature, but it's very important to pick the bonuses and things that you want from the get-go. So without further ado, let's dive into this. Before we get going though, as always, if you are a new person to my channel, please consider liking, subscribing, and hitting that bell icon so you never miss an update, I should say, not make an update, never miss an update. And if you want to support, you can do so with memberships, super chats, super stickers, super thanks, and don't forget the Patreon page. We'll talk more at the end about all those good things. But in the meantime, let's look at the humans. Humans, commonly called folk, are the most common race in the Deerwood, the Aedir Empire, Old Valia, and the Valian Republics. Though not as large as the towering Aumaua, humans are known for their strength and willpower, and as a result, you get a +1 to resolve and a +1 to might. Well, what are those things, you might ask, right? So resolve reflects a character's internal drive, determination, fearlessness, and the emotional intensity they can project to others. It can be useful for mental intimidation, leadership, and convincing performances. In combat, it helps characters maintain their concentration and contributes to the will and deflection defenses. Might, on the other hand, represents a character's physical and spiritual strength, the brute force, as well as their ability to channel a powerful magic. During interactions, it can be useful for intimidating displays and acts of brute force. In combat, it contributes to both damage and healing, as well as the fortitude defense. So the Aumaua are the largest of the Kith races and are commonly found in or near oceans. Though not truly aquatic, they have an affinity for water, and many of their civilizations, such as the Rawatai, are based on naval dominance. They are known for unparalleled strength. Then we get into the dwarves. By virtue of land covered and number of colonies settled, the dwarves are the most well-traveled race in the world. They are commonly found in the Deerwood, the Valian Republics, and almost any colonized land. Dwarves are known for their great strength and tenacity. So they've got might, +2 might, +1 constitution, but -1 dexterity. So dexterity is typical to most other games. Interactions, it's used for sleight of hand and fast reactions. It affects your action speed and your reflex defense. And of course, constitution affects your maximum health, endurance, and contributes to the fortitude defense. And it's sometimes used in roleplay interactions for withstanding pain or taxing ordeals. But mostly it's just for hit points and stuff. So, yeah. Then we have elves. Elves are the dominant race in Irglanfith and the White that Wins, and are extremely common in the Dyrwood and Aedir. Elves are known for their speed and intelligence, as well as a commonly isolationist nature. Haha! If I could learn how to talk with my coffee. Perception represents a character's senses, as well as their instinctive ability to pick up on details. In interactions, it can be used to catch someone in a lie, to make an observant comment about their appearance, or to notice something happening in the background. In combat, it contributes to accuracy, reflex defense, and grants a bonus to interrupt. We get into the Orlin, which are another unique race to Pillars of Eternity in the world of Eora here. Orlins are the smallest of the Kith races, although many cultures don't consider them to be civilized at all. Also noticeable for their large ears, two-toned skin, and hirsute bodies, Orlins are commonly found in Irglanfith, the Iximitil Plains, and parts of the Dyrwood. They are known for their mental intensity and sharp senses. They get a +1 resolve, -1 might, +2 to perceptions. Then you have the godlike, who are children of the Kith, who have been blessed with physical aspects associated with the gods, although some do not consider this a blessing. These aspects may take many forms and often come with mystical powers. Aberrant head shapes are typical, and godlike are unable to wear protective headgear as it is near impossible to fit anybody. Because of their unusual nature and their inability to reproduce, godlike are often viewed with fear and wonder, and they get a bonus to intellect as well as dexterity. Intellect represents a character's logic and reasoning, and interactions that can be useful for deduction, sudden realizations, and problem solving. In combat, it also contributes to the will defense and influences durations and area effects for all abilities and talents. So, this gets you into the basic of the races that you can choose from. Now, much like any other RPG or CRPG you've played, once you've chosen your race, you're going to go into the subset. So this is where you get into the slightly different visual representations of each of the different types of humans. So here we have meadow folk, the ocean folk, or the savanna folk, and they each have a slightly different visual look, slightly different cosmetic. They also have different lore. So the meadow folk, for example, they're most common humans in the Dyrwood. Fighting spirit, you get an additional bonus here, and then we go down to the ocean folk here. Originated near the equator on the other side of the globe and are currently the most widespread group in that region. Dominant culture in the Vailian republics. Then we get into the savanna folks, who originally came from south of the equator and are quite common in Red Saris, although not usually seen in the Dyrwood and Vailian republics. Making sure here. So, no, hang on. I don't want to do that. Go back here. Go to the Aumaua. I always pronounce that incorrectly. Go to the next, and we could choose Coastal Aumaua or the Island. And much similar to the first one, we have different cosmetics here. I think, let's see, Towering Fuse. Coastal Aumaua gain bonuses to defend against prone and stun effects, and the Islands gain an additional weapon set. So when you get into the racial selections, these sub-races are also going to have, or potentially have, additional bonuses. So mountain dwarves, as an example, are hale and hardy and have a bonus to defend against poison and disease attacks, while the boreal dwarves get a plus 15% accuracy against creatures of the wild or primordial types because of their hunter instincts. Elves, on the other hand, can be broken down into wood elves, who have a distant advantage against any enemy that's more than 4 meters away, and bonuses to accuracy, deflection, and reflex. And then the pale elves get elemental endurance. They're increased burn and freeze damage reductions. I always keep hitting the wrong button. Sorry, guys. Orlin. You have the Wild Orlans, who have Defiant Resolve. After being subjected to a will attack, they gain a temporary bonus to all defenses. And the Hearth Orlan, which have this minor threat perk, which when attacking any target that is also being attacked by a teammate, they convert some of their hits into crits. Very cool. And then getting into the godlike, we have the different type of godlikes. We have, starting with the Death godlike, get this buff called Death's Usher. When they attack an enemy with 25% or less endurance, their damage is increased. Fire godlike, who when they're reduced below 50% endurance, they glow like metal in a forge, gaining damage reduction and doing a small amount of fire damage to any creature who hits them in melee. The Moon godlike have this ability where every encounter, when reduced below 75%, 50%, and 24% endurance, Moon godlike generate waves of healing moonlight that restore endurance to them and their allies. This is actually a really cool ability for your fighters, I have found. I'm just not going to get into the class stuff here, but from a racial perspective, if you're looking to min-max something, if you have a fighter who's going to be at the forefront, whether it's your paladin or your melee, this is a really cool ability to have because it's like a little passive that will give you some healing. It's not a lot, but it's a little bit, and it does add a little bit of a bonus to playing that. Wellspring of Life from the Nature Godlike, that grants a bonus to Might, Constitution, Dexterity when endurance is below 50%. So there you have it, our basic breakdown of the races in Pillars of Eternity. We have your standard human, dwarf, and elf, but the Aumaua and the Orlan and the Godlike are unique to the world of Pillars of Eternity. So if you want to know more, you'll obviously want to dig into these at your leisure because they have a whole lot of information in terms of the cultures of these people. I mean, we can go in here and talk about, who the Deerwood and the Valian Republic are here, for example. A mercantile nation, former colony of a larger, more ancient nation, Old Valia, republics lie to the south of Deerwood and Air Glanfeth, and are ruled by a duke elected by a Consuagli Asegia, a council of 14 dukes, including its five most prominent, the Duke Bells. But there's all sorts of stuff in here, especially when you get into like the, I think it's the Elves. Yeah, the dominant race in, hang on, let's go back here. Air Glenfith. So there's a ton of information if you want to really dive into the lore behind all of the races and the areas that they live in. There's a ton of information in this game, and because it's not, say, Dungeons and Dragons, where you have a huge compendium of Forgotten Realms or Dragonlance to look up, if you want to know more about this game, I know that's one of the common, I don't want to say a complaint, I would say it's a critique that a lot of people have when they play Pillars of Eternity for the first time, is that it has so much information dump. If you're not familiar with it, it can feel somewhat overwhelming. I'm going to try to, help alleviate that a little bit with additional Pillars of Eternity lore videos and beyond. So hopefully you will stick around for those. And if you enjoyed this race video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you'll continue to get more, because we are going to be doing more. I think the next video we're doing is going to be on the classes of Pillars of Eternity and what you might want to pick for your first playthrough of the game. What I kind of think are some of my favorite classes. So if you like that kind of stuff and you want to support my channel, this is the part where I would implore you to not only like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon, but drop a membership here on the channel or head over to our Patreon page and support there. Memberships are the primary way in which I get to do this full time. People out there who love my content and allow me to do videos full time and to stream full time. That's the easiest way. But you can also do super chats and stickers on premieres and live streams, or you could do super thanks after the videos have been uploaded. You can also do super thanks on YouTube shorts that you see. So any way that you feel like you can contribute, you can do a one-off contribution, you can do a monthly membership. All are great ways to support, from $2 up to $500 or beyond. Whatever you're comfortable with, it all helps out. Thanks so much to those of you who do, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video in this series and beyond. Don't forget, I play a lot of other CRPGs, MMORPGs, RPGs, and beyond. So see you then. Happy gaming, everyone.